Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted. Welcome back to the Get Sculpted pod. We have another great episode teed up for you today. And we are going to share with you how you can get more out of the time you're spending on your training. It's not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it better. And we actually just talked about something similar on our past episode, and we're going to continue to talk about it because we are passionate about working smarter and not just working harder. Right, girls?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
All right. So this is for the woman who I can very much relate to. This was me, who is not afraid of hard work and not afraid of putting in the time, not afraid of building these habits when it comes to exercising. But for all the time that you're exercising, you're just not really looking like you work out. You're not getting a lot out of that. And I hear people say this all the time that, hey, if you saw me, you wouldn't actually really know that I work out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I want to highlight that we are here to better our bodies and to be healthy, and absolutely. But we also want to share with you, you can be healthy and thrive and feel awesome and be strong. And you can look like you work out while you're doing that. And you can do all of that while probably spending less time training than you are now. And if you can spend less time and get a better result, why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Saying that, I wore that as a badge of honor. I train every day. I train multiple times a day. Now I think back and I'm like, was that a flex? Because while I did that, I looked like, do I train at all?
Yeah.
And my body was really beat up. So there's something to be said for that. So we also just talked about in a previous episode how you are having to do things differently when you're over 40 in terms of recovery. So needless to say, we want to do less. We want to do it better. And the truth is, our bodies don't change by doing more. Our muscle doesn't grow because we're sweating or we're feeling really fatigued. You need to give it the right stimulus. So this is about intention and intensity. It's how you're training. It's not just the fact that you're training. So what we're going to cover today is the difference between working out versus training. We're going to share what intensity actually means. And it might be different than you think. It doesn't just mean more sweating. We're going to share what intention actually looks like in a training session and why just showing up and getting sweaty and just saying, I did the thing is not enough if you want a lean and sculpted body. So let's get into it. Jord, can you please kick us off sharing the difference between random workouts and having a plan?
Okay, I love this because I was this classic girl who went to the gym and I pulled out back then my magazine with the workout in it and followed the workout like day 1, day 2. And I thought that that was a good way to learn how to work out. And even now, fast forward to today, I just had a call with a potential client and she's working out 6 days a week, plus doing 4 spin classes a week, plus trying to get her steps in. And it's like, but they're all from different places, you know, like one's from Peloton and then the other one's from this other app. And then this other thing is from this other person that she's like, oh, walk this way and you'll get more fit. And I'm like, how much time are you spending moving your body?
Like, when do you do anything else?
She's like, every day I'm trying to squeeze in like 45 minutes here.
Wow.
Every day, multiple times a day.
And why?
Why? So she's made some progress, but obviously has now gotten to a point where everything's plateaued and stalled out. And she still has like a fair amount of weight she wants to lose. And she really wants to figure out how to sculpt her body, right? Like already down maybe 40 pounds, but has another 40 or 50 to go. And she's like, I'm spending all this time. I couldn't imagine
doing more,
how I could do more. It's literally impossible.
But she could do less. That's the funny thing.
So this is what I said to her. I said, you know, we can probably get you better results doing less. And she was just like, I've never heard that before. It was such a foreign concept.
Yeah.
So this is why I think it is so important to have this conversation around doing random workouts just for the sake of moving, which does have its place if you're like just starting out, if you're very, very new to things, you're just kind of like, I want to try and see if I like this type of movement maybe. Then I think there's a place for it. But when you're really looking to have a goal, and we work with women who have goals. They have intention. They have outcomes and they're driven for that. They need a training plan and they need strategy behind it. Did you want to add something, Mar?
Yes, just because we talked about this recently, but also in the life stage. So like over 40, to all our ladies over 40, all the things that Georgia said, true, but you also need to be doing this now to function because bone density, muscle mass, like now it's self-preservation. So not to sound dramatic, but in a lot of cases, it can be life and death if you're not
It is
lifting
actually.
weights.
It is.
So, right. I know we're going to get into this, but the random workouts, that is not helping that goal. And that should be at the top of your priority list right now.
You're already spending the time.
Yeah, do it smarter. Do it smarter and actually get the results you want. Just because you're sweating and just because it feels hard doesn't mean that you're actually building towards the results that you're envisioning in your mind. And a training plan is really something that is structured and tailored for you. It has a starting place. And this is what I absolutely love bringing on new clients or working on their training programs as they progress over time is making those progressions for them, is showing them, okay, you have 3-4 days a week, 45 minutes. Awesome. This is the equipment you have available to us. Maybe you're at the gym. Maybe you've built like a little home gym for yourself. Awesome. We can structure things in a way that is as efficient and effective as possible in this, like we like to operate in 4 to 6 week blocks and then make progressions based on that. And being able to build that around the goal not just takes into account what you do need to do, which is the movement itself, but it's what you don't do for the recovery timeframe. And this is what I get very frustrated about with these random workouts is because you're not really thinking about the recovery side of things, the rest side of things, and having a strategy and someone overlay their experience with your goals and bringing all that together is ultimately going to get you where you want to go, whether that's building glutes or getting stronger or tightening up your midsection. Maybe you just want to start by losing some weight. That needs a strategy around it. So instead of doing those like 10 random exercises that you see in the magazine and repeating these like lifts week after week after week, we really want you to tailor that down, get very focused and very intentional. And that is ultimately what is going to get the changes to your body to start to happen is when you have a plan.
Couldn't agree more.
Exactly.
Do you want to add anything to that, T, before we move on to intensity, which I love that one too?
Yeah, I was going to say that a lot of women I speak with, you don't know what you don't know. So I think it's really important to understand that because you've dipped your feet in the waters of strength training, you haven't gone in the whole ocean. So
there's a lot to learn.
I've talked to someone saying, I've done strength training. I just talked to someone today. She said, I did body pump classes. I'm like, yes, you're getting the exercises, but it's the way that you do them more so than just the fact that you're just doing it. For example, if I'm doing a body weight pulse squat or a couple 10-pound dumbbells and I'm doing a different kind of squat next week, that's not nearly going to get the same results as like a heavy loaded barbell back squat.
No.
That's the thing. We think, of course not, but a lot of people think I'm already doing the squat. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I'm already doing that, come in with an open mind. We're going to share some things with you. Okay.
Get ready to have your mind blown.
Yes. And that is what I will say. You're listening to this podcast. Like you want to better yourself. You're someone who is listening to this between your ears right now instead of, I was going to say true crime. I love true crime, but no hate to true crime, but you want to better yourself. You're here, you're listening because you're like, how can I do better? So we're going to share with you how you can get more out of what you're doing. Okay. So let's talk about intensity. This is just the truth. Most women are not training with enough intensity to change their body.
Yep.
And listen, I'm always trying to up my intensity. You guys are, our clients are. But if you take someone who is showing up to this workout program, even if a lot of the time, if they do have some sort of plan, they might just be aiming for the wrong thing, which means they're aiming to sweat. They're aiming to feel a burn. They're aiming to really get their heart rate up. And the truth is, none of these three things are actually the right signs that you should be looking for. So when you think intensity, a lot of people think of it as you're panting and exerted, but this is actually more like intensity when you're doing aerobic work, like cardio. So intensity with strength training, and I'm going to try not to get too technical here. I don't want to lose you, but intensity is when you're reaching a high level of fatigue close to failure. Okay. So what does failure mean? A lot of people know the concept, but you don't get it until you feel it.
Right.
Failure means I can't do any more reps. Like if I was failing a barbell back squat, I would get stuck at the bottom and then I'd have the safety pins on and I just have to put the bar down. I'd be like, bam, I can't get back up. A lot of people are not training here. And you don't need to train to failure. We found that the sweet spot is anywhere from 2 to 3 reps shy of failure. But the reality is people grossly underestimate that too. They'll think I was 2 to 3 reps shy of failure. And I'm like, okay, now take the next one to failure. And they're like,
that's what you meant.
I got another 15 reps in. Crap. So how do you know this? I always tell my clients that are in the phase where they're more advanced, because we don't do this from the get-go, right? A lot of people try and be like, I'm trained to failure, do this. Like, this is a conversation that doesn't just happen once. So I tell my clients, I'm not just going to tell you, here's the RPE scale, which is how we measure your intensity. Have at it. And then they're like, I'm done. No, it's like, let's look at this lift. How did this feel? How was the second set feeling? How was the third set? So it's something you're constantly improving on. But right away, you can notice the difference between, I'm going to check out this F45 class and just, feel a sweat. I'm moving.
Feel burn, yep.
Okay, this week, am I training to failure? I'm going to do the same lift next week. I'm going to try and hit failure again. And the idea is you're training close to failure every week, but that keeps increasing because you're getting stronger. That's called progressive overload.
That's right. And that's so fun.
That is fun. And guess what? You get to do it for your entire life.
But that's how you maintain it. Because a lot of people are like, how are you so consistent? Yep. And the secret is you have to love the actual process of training and not just the result that it gives you with looking hot and building muscle, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong. But that ain't happening tomorrow. You're not going to have a workout and have a booty tomorrow.
If only.
I know. And this is the thing, right? The fitness industry likes to say 90 days and you can do this. You can do a lot, but let me tell you, you cannot do a 180 with building muscle. It takes time. It takes a hell of a lot of time and effort when you're doing all the right things. But girl, if you're doing the wrong things, it ain't even happening. So, and if it does happen, it's going to take way too long.
I actually love T. You had it in your stories a little while ago, and you showed a picture from a long time ago of your back flex with a current back flex. And you asked the audience, how many years do you think this took? And it ranged from like 1 year to 11
10
years or something, 10 years. And I think people were surprised to see how long that transformation took. How many years was it again? Because it was drastic, the transformation. But I think the timeline is what was surprising.
Yeah.
No judgment. I love you so much.
Of course.
It was like just trying to get a visual for everybody.
Yeah.
Like lean string bean versus gorgeous lean muscle mommy.
25 pounds heavier.
Yes. But you don't look 25 pounds heavier. You look the way I think you wanted to look in your mind in the first picture. And and I think that's where people get hung up sometimes is like what you actually have to do for the result versus what we imagine or what we would like to do for the result. They're very, very different.
Or what we've been conditioned to think gets the results.
Or conditioned to believe. Yeah.
Exactly. That's so true, Jord. Thanks for sharing that, because that's a good example of how it really is about doing less, but doing it better. And what I said in that story too was it was 11 years, but only 7 of those years were really targeted the right way.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I don't think this is the right time to commit to a fitness program. I don't know. I don't know if I really need that. I'll ask you the honest question. You're putting in the effort anyway. What if you learned how to spend your time better? Think about how much you could time lapse your results and be a lot more satisfied just from having the knowledge and the skills to do that for life.
11 years and you're quitting after 6 months. Like, please settle in for the long haul.
Or quitting after the fat loss phase.
Yes.
Or you're like, I'm done after the fat loss phase. Girl,
the party is just starting after the fat loss phase. Like, you've never seen this other side of the world of fitness.
This is the magic where it happens.
The magic. It's the best part. You get to eat more food. You get to lift more and heavier
and
with intensity and enjoy it because it's fun.
And it becomes easy to stay consistent when you know what you're doing and you get results from it. Like when you know that what you're doing is adding up to results, it is easy to show up because you're like, bam, I'm putting deposits in my muscle mommy bank. Instead of like, what am I even doing here?
Muscle mommy bank.
That's how I tell my clients when they miss a workout. I'm like, think about every workout like you're depositing in your,
I
don't call it muscle mommy bank. I should. I'm like, you're depositing in your bank. But when you don't make a deposit in 1 week, it's not a big deal. But if you just leave your piggy bank alone, it's never going to grow.
That's so good. What a good analogy.
Thank you. All right, Mare, so share with us about intention because we touched on it.
Yes. Okay. So when we say training with intention, here's what we mean. It's the how you're showing up to your training sessions. So it means that you're not just, like we said, there to get it done, check a box. You want to improve, you want to progress, and you want to make every minute count. Because I think for as long as we do this job, we will hear women tell us about doing all the things and not getting the results. Mm-hmm. And it's so frustrating to show up and feel like you're being consistent and then nothing's happening. So there's a big difference between going through the motions and showing up with a clear why. Okay. So the big question is, what does it look like? So first thing, it's slowing things down and controlling the tempo. Okay. So that's the speed at which you perform the movement. Instead of rushing through reps to finish your workout quick, slow things down so you feel the movement. Because when you are controlling the tempo, your muscles are actually staying under tension longer, which drives muscle growth. So of course, you're getting more out of that exercise, out of your workout. It's also going to help you stay focused on the muscles that you're working. So when you're doing reps really, really fast, that's momentum. That's not your muscles half the time.
Cheat reps.
It is. Yep. So when you're focusing on those muscles, that's what's working. Second thing to build on that is focusing on the muscle that you're trying to target. So we call this mind-muscle connection. Think of it like you're not just moving a weight, you're intentionally activating that muscle to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to. And then a third way, and this is so important, is track your weights. Because when you're doing your workouts, or think of anything, data is what you can improve on. If you don't have data, how are you improving, right? So
what gets measured gets managed.
Right. Yeah.
Same with food and training.
Right. And we've talked about progressive overload. We've talked about going into your, workouts with purpose. So if you're just grabbing whatever dumbbells are there, then you're missing out on a huge opportunity. You want to progressively overload from week to week. And if you have no data, then you're guessing instead of having a clear goal. And the last thing is being intentional with your training and taking enough rest time. So we've talked about this in past episodes. Recovery is not an optional thing, and we need you to lift heavy. So if you're lifting heavy, you absolutely need that rest time. It's not an option.
And don't do jump squats between your sets.
No, don't do anything between sets. Rest, breathe, take a drink of water.
Scroll TikTok. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. But you should need that rest. So that's an indication. If you are not needing that rest, then maybe you need to reevaluate what your actual reps look like. So when you layer all of these things together, this is where the shift happens, where you go from just doing a workout to training with intention. Because the other thing is your training's not there just to burn calories. So that's another thing we hear, right? That I'm just like going in there because I want to feel the burn the calories.
It doesn't do that very well.
No, it doesn't.
No, your workout is there to build muscle and build strength, which is what's going to lead to the body composition changes that you want, but only if you bring that intention.
And I also want to add here, just like the intention side of things, it's not just the programming side, which is very important. But it's also the mindset in which you walk into your workout with. It's like, are you just stepping in the gym to like check the box, which, you don't really want to be doing? Or are you stepping in there being like, I'm just one step closer to hitting my goal right now? And also I find, and I'm sure you girls would agree, you're getting out of your head and into your body for a period of time in the day. And from a mental health perspective, it is just the best place to be, to manage stress, to manage your emotions. It's a healthy redirect. And so stepping into the gym is going to give you that opportunity to really be present, which we all need practice in doing. So what better way than working out? You're getting like such a bang for your buck. Like you're working your body, your mind, all of your goals at once. So I love that.
I love that, Jord. And that's a good one to come back to is, are you there just to check the box? Or are you there to get better? Like if you honestly ask yourself, are you going into each workout with the intention of improving? We all have seasons where I am just showing up here because I'm here for my sanity and whatever, life's crazy. But by and large, you want to be getting better. I love it. All right. So girls, do you have anything else to add? Any final words for our listener who needs more intention and intensity in their life?
I think for me, the take-home message from this episode is you should not be training to get tired and sweaty. You should be training to get results. And like we talked about, when you're showing up with intention and intensity, your workouts become so effective and your body's going to change. You're going to feel fit. You're going to feel healthy. You're going to age in the best way possible and you're going to thrive. So it's a win-win all around.
Your life's going to be better in every way is what we're saying.
Exactly.
So guys, we want to leave you with one message today, and that is that you don't need to be doing more. You just need to work smarter. You don't need to work harder. It really is coming down to training with more intention, making sure you're doing the right exercises to sculpt your body, not just check the box. With that, you want to hit the right intensity. You want to be lifting heavy weights. You don't want to be jumping around between your sets or cutting your rest time short. You really want to show up when you're showing up. And most importantly, you don't want to waste your time and often your money on doing random workouts or DIY solutions. It's really better to build a strong foundation where you know how to eat and train for that result. And this is exactly where we come in. This is exactly what we help our clients with. So if this is something you want support with, if you want to see what a plan would look like when it's tailored to you, when it's intentional, when there's progressive overload and the big picture, not just the next 6 weeks kind of situation, message us on Instagram at getsculpted.ca and let us know that you listen to this, and we would love to see how we can help. And if you did find it helpful, please share with a friend, share on your story, give us a tag. We love to see your shares. We also appreciate your 5-star reviews because they help us reach more women like you. And next week, we're going to be taking it to a solo episode with Jord. Can't wait for that one.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.